Jarvis, drop my needle.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and if you are interested in listening to idiots, you came to the right place. Have a nice day.
Woo! That's an attention getter.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Oh my God, he's an idiot.
You know, of course, that you're out of your jurisdiction.
Personally, I think you're an idiot.
But that's the evidence in the car.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Always like to keep my audience riveted.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to Free Range Idiocy, the podcast about everything, but mostly just the stuff we like. Well, it's week 3 of what are you doing? My God, it's like you're trying to shill your own merchandise.
Do the intro. I was just doing the you're killing me small. I know, or am I killing you now, Smalls?
You are.
Sorry.
It's like you're trying to shill your own t-shirts here. I'm not starting over. We're already into this. Well, it's week 3 of March Madness, and hordes of Star Wars fans have not descended upon us with pitchforks and lightsabers, so we're either doing something right or really, really wrong. But take heart, members of the Free Range Idiocy congregation. We shall continue our adjudication of characters from a galaxy far, far away, unabated. This episode, we're diving into the animated streaming shows like Clone Wars, Rebels, and Bad Batch. Which character will we decide is the most iconic and worthy of a place in our personal Final Four? Stay tuned in this episode 155, Star Wars Character Bracketology, Region 3. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the man who yearns someday to star in his own Who Framed Roger Rabbit live-action and animation mashup. He has been my partner in idiocy for over 2 decades, and will actually be playing a cartoon in said movie just to show off his incredible acting range. I give you the man they call Tim.
Only if Tony Schiavone introduces me by saying, "Congratulations on that great entrance after the ass kicking you just took."
Something tells me that Tony is wildly available. As long as the check clears, I think he will be there.
Oh, indeed.
I think Tony Schiavone really is picky at this point in his career.
Yes.
I mean, he is working for AEW.
Hey. And for context, ladies and gentlemen, last Sunday was Sting's final match, and Sting and Darby Allin took the Jackson boys to school and defeated them soundly. So hence the line from Schiavone, which actually elicited a laugh on the Metro train from me when I heard it, because it was just so non-Tony Schiavone to hear him say that. It's just like, congratulations on that great entrance after the ass kicking you two took a couple nights ago.
Well, what's really interesting is it's a good thing that you weren't listening while you were on your scooter. Are you still doing the scooter thing?
No, the temperature has not. It was 62 today, but the temperature has not gotten to a point both in morning and evening to facilitate a comfortable ride. It was
well, thank God
degrees.
for that. You're a grown man, for crying out loud. Be zipping around on a scooter. Ring, 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 ring.
Hey, I've got almost like 150 miles logged on that thing now, my friend. Let me tell you.
Okay. Do you get sort of like badge for it at 200 miles?
I might.
That'd be kind of cool, actually.
Long overdue, but greetings and salutations, sir. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I do want to make one request of our audience, because it seems like we are getting away from, the Star Wars fandom unscathed here. I really do. I wonder if we're doing something wrong. Are we not being controversial enough? So if you are a rabid regular listener, do me a favor, find the most curmudgeonly Star Wars fan that you know and forward him the last 2 episodes along with this one, and just see if they get riled up or not. I want to take the temperature here, not like that. But anyways, I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself, sir?
Doing well. Coming off a spirited weekend of film, theater, and jazz, my friend.
I have to ask this.
Yes.
Just, is it you who is leading the charge on this cultural renaissance of yours, or is this your wife trying to, culture you up a little bit?
It's a little bit of both. So Dune 2 is me.
Yeah, I kind of guessed that one.
And she, she wanted to come with, and she had seen Dune 1 and was interested in seeing Part 2.
All right.
The Saturday theater that we went to, into Goodman Theater in downtown Chicago, to see the Penelopead play. Jennifer Morrison of Once Upon a Time, and she was in another show too, was the lead Penelope. But it's a story about basically the time of Homer's Odyssey when Odysseus is, doing the Trojan War and then, basically traveling the world in various adventures for 20 years, but told from the perspective of his wife Penelope. So it was a very interesting play. But that was my wife has done a wonderful job of unlocking the arts for me. I've been to the Art Institute a couple times with her, and would it be something necessarily I would do on my own? Probably not. But now that I've been through it and I've seen it and experienced it, I want to go back and see more. It's very interesting to me. She also was the one who introduced me to the play Wicked when it was still going back in the 2000s. We went and saw that at the Cadillac Theater in downtown Chicago. That was an amazing production. That blew my mind. The music and all of that was just like, I didn't know what to expect, but man, when I walked out of there, I'm like, holy, that music was woo, so little Ric Flair right there.
This is something that even though when you're talking about something cultured, you revert back to Ric Flair.
Indeed. And then Sunday was my son's jazz, or our son's jazz concert. So
I was going to say, which
neither
son is
of
it,
us
depending on how he's acted that week.
Yeah, basically
your son.
So so that was the weekend. So a lot of culture, a lot of art, a lot of good stuff. How about you, sir? How was your weekend?
A lot of putting on real pants for you. I'm proud of you. That's like 2 days in a row.
Indeed.
Doing all right. Just going along, singing a song,
nice.
Lifting heavy things, putting them back down, trying not to break myself. It's the same old around here.
Very nice. Very nice.
Which means that we ought to get into the Week in Geek because we do have something in common to talk about here. Some very high art. So without further ado, here we go.
The Week in Geek.
Feels so funky.
Indeed, we do, and smell
I feel like
funky
I should have
as well.
some glow sticks or something. Like I should get Keelan to come in and like flip the lights really quick.
I got to do something like if I do this, does something pop up? There it is.
What the crap is going on?
That's what I should have done at the end of the song. I just got to go like this. 2 thumbs up. Ba-bam! Woo!
How do you do that?
So it is a part of the OS. Let me see. What am I on right now?
Not for me.
What the heck?
Are you on Linux?
No. I'm on Mac OS Sonoma. So when you move to Sonoma, they actually have gestures built in. So if I do this, does it do anything? No. No, nothing.
Gosh, I just can't wait for. What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm trying different things to see if it makes. Like when I did a thumb up, I thought a thumb would appear. Oh, there we go. See, there's a thumb.
No, that's lovely.
If I do the heart emoji, I can't do a heart emoji. Do a heart? No.
Oh, yep.
Oh, look
gosh.
at that. But let's do the Mick Foley cheap pop 2 thumbs up. Let's see it. Come on, where'd it go? What the heck?
Now it's just mad at you. And rightfully so, because you're wasting precious podcast time.
I know.
Let's get on with the Week in Geek here, sir. Rather than Tim's playhouse of hand gestures.
You were taken aback by the visual, so I was simply entertained.
Well, I was. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought you were holding out on me, and it turns out it's just an Apple
I got to do it one more
update.
time. I want to see if I can get the... There it is. All right, so that's what I got to do at the end of the Week in Geek song, just to get the fireworks going on the video. I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this Week in Geek is going to be singularly focused on one topic.
Singularly?
Yes, singularly.
Oh, okay.
It's like lozenge.
I thought it was like something you played, like a singularity. It's like a ukulele.
A consigliere? What?
It's like the soprano form of a ukulele. It's like this big.
But basically, Uncle Todd and I bookended the weekend with a trip to the movie theater to see not one, but Dune Part Two, which was a phenomenal movie. So we are going to break it down, give our hot take.
I don't know how much I'm going to break down here, but yeah, sure. Let's go for it.
Talk about our reaction to it, and there's a lot to talk about in the movie. If you haven't seen it, you may want to avoid the next 60 or so minutes. No, sorry, we're going to try to keep this to 30 tops.
Oh, thanks.
But hey, 2 thumbs up, cheap pop. Oh, it didn't happen.
Good.
Okay, that doesn't work. I gotta do it like there. Yeah. No. Okay. How about
Just
this?
go on with the movie, sir. Please.
Well, my
Please.
fireworks.
In the
Okay.
name of all that is holy.
All right. So I went on Friday night. You went on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. So
Yes.
where do you want to start with this? Like you want to start with just. I mean, we can give an overall grade at the end, but kind of what hit you at first? Like what was your gut reaction coming out of the theater, and how are you feeling?
I will go with an approximation of what I texted you in response to your question of how did you like Dune 2. It was gigantic. It was weird. It was epic. It was everything that I wanted. It checked all the boxes. I mean, Dune is its own weird thing. My daughter said it best. She's like, it's like Star Wars if Star Wars were even weirder and more detailed. I'm like, yes. Mm-hmm. The whole thing, like it just everything about it was grand. And this is the thing, like this is the type of movie that is so worthwhile to go see in a theater. Mm-hmm. And the reason I kind of feel that need to mention it is because I feel like there's been so much just hollering and hullabaloo, if you will, from Hollywood about people don't want to go to the theater and even directors like, oh, the cinema experience and this and that and the other. Because, I mean, let's face it, I don't know about the movie theaters out where you are. There's a lot of movie theaters here in the Northeast that are just not even worth going to. Like, they're not well maintained. Yeah. The sound isn't terrific. They haven't been updated. They smell, yada, yada, yada. Everything is, like, super duper expensive. Fine, whatever. But not every movie is worth that now. Mm-hmm. And we have options now. Like, you can wait for it to stream. And you don't, and it's not like 6-8 months like it used to be. It can be, 2 months. Yeah. All right, I'll wait 2 months rather than going to pay $15 to go see a lackluster flick that I'm pretty sure is lackluster. This is a movie though that commands a big screen treatment because it is big, audacious. It is just epic.
It's not just
every
the visuals.
Sense of the word. Yeah,
not just the
sound.
Visuals. The sound was amazing.
Yes, and was so unlike so many other movies where it's like the music, sound effects, everything else is one level, and then the vocal like speaking is down here, and you can't hear it. Mm-hmm. And it's this it's why a lot of movies now I'm watching on with closed captioning on because I don't want to turn it up to the level I can hear the voices because I'll be blasting everyone else in my house out the window. Yeah. But this was just stunning, well made, an epic grand story. There were parts of it that are so Dave Bautista, just so over the top in everything. The guy could have been coming out of the bathroom at one point and it would have been over the top. Like everything about his character is just on 11. The acting was so good. I can't go through all of the differences from the book because it's been so long since I've read the book, but it just felt like they actually fleshed out some of these characters even more than they were in the book. Like I felt that Stilgar definitely got a better treatment in the movie. And that has a lot to do with the actor who is playing him, which I can't remember his name right now, much to my shame. But he was fantastic. Hall's mother, like I struggle to think of one person in this movie who was not delivering a top-notch performance, and then just to have Christopher Walken cast as the emperor of the universe,
Javier Bardem.
Chef's kiss for Christopher Walken. Yes, Javier, and wasn't he the dude in the James Bond flick Skyfall?
I think so.
Yeah, I've seen him in a few things now, and he is just outrageously good. Yeah. Like every character has just this kind of like lived in quality. Highly underrated if anybody is even underrating him anymore. But the whole thing was just so well done. Everything about the movie just to me felt fantastic. The effects looked amazing. The sound was amazing. Even just the cinematography and the way that they use the desert, as a character in and of itself. Man, I couldn't have asked for more. And the pacing, the job of the director and editor. I mean, just I didn't feel like it was a 3-hour movie. There wasn't this like, oh my gosh, how much more is left? because it was paced well, and also I think the performances of the actors and the characters were so interesting that even though there isn't a ton going on in some of these in some of these periods in the movie, you don't feel like, oh my gosh, are we ever going to get to the next scene? Like everything is kind of interesting.
Didn't check my watch once.
No. So I mean, I don't know what else I could have wanted from this. Yeah, no, it was a phenomenal flick. It was so worthwhile seeing in the theater. The only issue I had was, or actually my daughter had, was she was bummed because she didn't have time to watch the first part before going to see the second part. I had watched it a few weeks ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, so it was still somewhat fresh in my mind. She hadn't watched it in a while, and she's been so busy with all, her teenager shenanigans with school and activities and everything, that fitting in a 3-hour movie is just not, somewhere in the wheelhouse. So
half expecting her to bust through the door and, just out of, spite for hearing you say that. So,
oh no, she agreed, but yeah, no, it was great. And what'd you think, sir? Because I think you were pretty complimentary in your assessment, even though you're trying to be unspoilerific, which I appreciate.
Yeah, no, I mean, we went for a 6:30 showing, and I think we got out of the movie theater like 9:45, 9:30, somewhere around there. We only had 2 trailers. There was only a couple trailers, and then what I love is before the movie even starts, that I don't know the language, but it said something about power over the spices, power over, and it was in the. It's not the language of the Harkonnens. It's whatever the language is of the Emperor's army. Like the Sardukan, right? I think is what they're called.
Yeah.
Which I
before they even like showed like the studio like logos or anything. Yes, that was that kind of caught me off guard. Yeah, that was great.
Detail. Yeah, this was the Michael Corleone story for Paul Atreides right here. You know what I mean? Like this was. And I don't mean that
today.
Flippantly.
I have settled all family business.
And how at the end? You don't like it? All right, let's take him to paradise, boys.
Oh my gosh! And my daughter was so mad when it kind of ended on that. Like, what? I'm like, what do you want? There's 3 hours. Like,
my son was the same way. He's like, why did they end it with a cliffhanger? And I'm like, well, one, because I think
there's like 20 Dune books.
Well, it may be a little bit, but I believe Denis Villeneuve has said he is, or it's been reported, he is in the process of writing a screenplay for what they're calling Dune Messiah, which would be the story that follows. But the second thing is, and he and I were talking about this yesterday as we were kind of we had some time to kill before my older son's concert, and so we were walking around the campus, and he was, lamenting that. He's like, I just wish it had like just an ending. And I'm like, but I said, here's the thing. Like, the story wasn't just about good versus evil, him winning. It was about him winning, but the cost it took on him, the toll it took on him, the price he had to pay. And I said, and again, I haven't read any of the books, but from what I've read about Paul's arc, it's not meant to be a hero's journey. It is if anything, he goes into more of a morally ambiguous place because one article I read said, because of the visions that he has, it starts to affect his ability to make decisions effectively because he's weighing all these different realities that he sees in front of him, and he's kind of struggling with which one do I choose, and the scene where he has the water of life is that is the pivot point. That is the point where he goes from Paul, the humble and the sincere and the caring. And that's something Shawnee says at one point is, he is the most sincere I've seen from an Outlander or from, someone from the outer, whatever they called him.
Yeah.
But that pivot point after he has that, and how, and I want to talk about this a little bit. I don't want to get into it just yet, but I want to talk about the why behind, kind of speculate a little bit on the why of what happens to his character. Because I read an interesting article and it kind of lined up with a thought I had about it. But no, I totally agree with you on the visuals. I mean, the sound was amazing. We were in one of those theaters that had that kind of amped up sound system. So The sandworm scenes were just
Mm.
incredible. The invasion of Arakan, is that what it's called? The North capital city.
I think it's Arakeen.
Arakeen.
Maybe.
I mean,
don't
just incredible. What else? I'm just trying to think. You know, I appreciated the journey it took us on, and it needed to be 2 movies because you needed to understand, and this is where the 1980s version fell short, is it just rammed through all of that.
know.
And I even watched the the ending where he fights Fade, what was his name, Fade Bathala or something like that.
Fade Roth.
Fade Rotha
Yeah.
Harkonnen, where and that was played by Sting, and they do the knife fight, he loses, and then Paul Atreides declares himself both the I can never remember the 2 words, the Kizra Hakaran or whatever,
Yeah.
and then the Lisa Gadil or something like that. Whatever his 2 names are for free, the Freeman name for him for Messiah, and then the Gesserit name for him. And then it starts raining outside, and that's the end of the movie. And it's just like, what the hell just happened? You know what I mean? It's very, and it sets him up as a savior as opposed to what the story is meant to really tell. And so I liked the way they stayed true to the book. I like that.
So you've never read Dune?
I've never read Dune. I mean, I've read bits. I've read things online about what the themes the books kind of touch on, which is why I'm saying some of this stuff, but I haven't read it front to back. So that is going on my reading list. I'm about to start the Picard memoir, Making It So.
Wait a minute. Is that like a fictional book? Like
oh no, sorry. Patrick Stewart.
Okay.
I was calling him Picard because
that'd be an interesting idea.
By the way, if you see Patrick Stewart in the Dune 1980 version, he looks exactly as he does today. The man is ageless.
He's like a golden retriever. Like he just
Paul
hit a certain point, and that's it.
Drink from the same fountain, apparently.
Yeah, and it just took Patrick Stewart a little longer to find it, I believe. Yeah,
but no, I mean, I love the story. I like the fact that you start to see this dark turn, kind of being predicted with his mom first. When she, has the water of life, and then she starts to, as she kind of communes with her daughter now, talks about, basically manipulation and taking advantage of the weak. I started to think, okay, now is she going to start to infect him? Because there's still a bond there between mother and son, and so it was interesting to see her kind of rise up into this Reverend Mother role. What was the other thing? Oh, I said something to a coworker today. The one lady who plays like the Reverend Mother from she was in part 1 as well, who did the pain test to him.
Yes.
I said, that was like the best casting of that woman. She knows how to play highfalutin. Like, I just want to slap the taste out of your mouth because you're so big on yourself.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about, I know all, I have everything moving in the direction I want it to go in, so on and so forth. And then, so she was great. And I love when he uses the voice on her and she's like, blasphemy. It's like,
yes.
It's like, you done just been slapped.
Yeah.
Verbally.
So now one thing I kind of want to ask you, because it was something that my daughter pointed out as we were walking out of the theater, and it took me a moment to really kind of realize it myself, because I was still kind of basking in the afterglow. But how do you feel they did in terms of, explanation, extrapolation? Because her contention was how they did not get into the weeds, how they really didn't over-explain things. And I thought that was, with a book like Dune, where there is so much going on, there is so much minute detail of how, and it's such a weird thing. Like, this is not like any other, space opera sci-fi sort of thing that I had ever really come across, with all this new vocabulary and all this new, iconography and religion and all of these things, an entirely different power structure to the galaxy and all that. And they really didn't get bogged down in it. Like, they explained, in my mind, they've done what a lot of the better Marvel movies have done, where they gave you just enough of, like, okay, we're going to give you some baseline credit of intelligence. Here's what you need. You'll figure out the rest.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never read the book, you will figure out the rest, or you don't need it.
Yep.
And you can just exist on this plane. If you've read the book, you're going to go deeper and you're going to appreciate some of the nuggets we're going to give you, but we're still not going to over-explain it. So you'll be as read for you.
Yep.
How did you feel like the same way? Like that kind of, it felt that way to you too?
Yeah, I was glad they didn't over-explain anything. There was no over-exposition at all, and I liked it. I mean, there was no getting to know your sandworm and all this sort of stuff. Like it was just. It was. That
would have been a great little short flick in the movie. Get to know your sandworm.
It was simple.
Do.
You know what I mean? Like we didn't have to see the training scenes and stuff like that. It was just. It was implied that Stilgar was teaching him. It was implied that, Stilgar believed because of who he thought he was that he was going to pick it up quickly, and he did. And they gave us just enough of that experience of what it is like to ride a sandworm to. Whet your appetite for, okay, this is now, what was cool about that was, to me, that was the manifestation of something that Leto Atreides says in part 1 about harnessing desert power. It's like, that's the point Paul has finally, really kind of understood what harnessing desert power is about.
Yes.
Like, and he uses it later on. And I mean, I wasn't disappointed by the end battle being so one-sided, because it was the culmination of, in Shivani's words, we saw the Atreides go through an ass kicking, and they came back, and then he comes back and layeth the smacketh down on them all. I mean, the Sardukan were nothing to be trifled with, and yet when he brings in the army of sandworms,
yes,
they're nothing.
Well, more so the Fremen.
Well, the Fremen too, yeah, absolutely.
So the thing that I thought was interesting about that is, I love those mirrors, and to me, it's like, okay, the Harkonnens took out the Atreides one night.
Yep.
Same thing happens in reverse, and the fact that we didn't get so bogged down into like a half-hour long, series of set pieces of that battle, it was just like, okay, and this happened, and this happened. You can tell they're just routing them.
Yeah.
Because even though it's this grand epic thing, it comes down to that one-on-one combat at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because really, that's Paul versus the Emperor. It's not, obviously the Emperor, Chris Walken isn't going to fight him. I can't do that,
Yep.
So he has this other dude do it. And so it's that it takes this grand epic story that really does center around the personal. It's a revenge tale.
Mm-hmm.
And a struggle for freedom and power, and it brings it right back down to that personal struggle in the one-on-one battle, which is really the climax.
Yeah.
You think it's going to be the big battle, because, the explosions and sandworms and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But it really comes down to that last one-on-one knife fight. And I thought that was so well done in the way that Villeneuve did it, because it didn't feel like a letdown.
Yeah.
It still felt like this is really freaking important.
Well, and what, I don't know if you noticed this, and this is a great example of the lack of exposition, is we get in the very beginning from the first, scene with Princess Aurelia, that, she makes the statement that after the House of Atreides falls, like, there's regret on the Emperor's part.
Mm-hmm.
She makes there's at least the exposition of, my father was silent after this happened. He was not celebrating. He was not, like, I appreciated they did that, because it actually showed, some accountability in a way of, this character who we had never really seen before. And the fact that even though he was the puppet master pulling the strings and, sent, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I thought someone was coming downstairs. Sent the House Atreides to, Arrakis, essentially on a death mission, because, as we know from part 1, you kind of, like, Oscar Isaac, Leto kind of knows something's up when they're asked to go do this. Like, when the stewardship is changing, something's up, because why would you hand me the planet that has the power, essentially, that allows all of this to exist, right? Something is up.
Yeah, and the complete opposite of anything he's ever managed or dealt with before.
Right. And so, he's kind of resigned to the fact that, he put this in motion. He's now wiped out an entire family, an entire line. And it's almost like he knows it. And it's not, it's interesting they do it at the beginning. We don't really see him until the end. That this, like you said, this story is about, in a way, him getting his accountability, and he resists a little bit, but he doesn't resist a lot. He goes with his champion. Once his champion's defeated, he resists a little bit, but he kisses the ring, and that's it. Now, one thing I just want to call out real quick in that one-on-one fight, I didn't realize it at first, but did you realize or notice that when he defeats Fade Rothula, that he actually uses the move that Gurney used on him during training when he thought he got him? Like,
no,
even though he had been impaled, right? And Fade was going at him here. I didn't understand what was going on at the time, but I think what happened was, while he's breathing heavy and you think he's going to lose, and he's holding the blade here, and Fade's very focused here, he pulls the blade out and then nails him.
Yeah.
Which is the exact move that Gurney, when he was training with Gurney's like, oh, you got me here, but I took you down with me. And so I thought that was very poetic, like you're talking about the mirroring there. I think that was great that they brought that in, because it was almost like a Gurney move in a way, of taking him down. So anyways, so I've been rambling on a while about my thoughts on it. Do you want to talk about the Water of Life thing and his turn?
Well, kind of, but actually, I want to know who is the dude who played Fade Rothula?
Austin Butler.
Okay, because is it just me, or did he do one hell of a Stellan Skarsgård
Elvis, baby.
impersonation?
Hubba bubba, baby.
I mean, it was
he did, and he did it purposefully. He did it purposefully. Yep. He said he wanted to. He basically, what was the article I read? He said something to the effect that when he was talking with Villanueva, he's like, this is a guy that, like, this is what he's grown up with. And so he wanted to kind of showcase, in some ways you tend to absorb things that are said and the way they're said and how they're said around you. And so he wanted to mimic him in that way, because this is what he knows. This is all he knows. And I thought it was a wonderful detail.
It was spooky at times, because I'm like, did they just like have Stellan dub this guy's dialogue and then like de-age him, like in audio tech land? Because it was so dead on.
Yeah. Yep.
No, that's fantastic. I thought it was a great detail to really kind of, it added menace, because that voice coming out of that kind of visage, if you will, was downright scary.
Yeah. No, I was wondering if Austin Butler's portrayal was going to be a little too over the top, but I thought he did a phenomenal job. I thought they did a great job showcasing Getty Prime. And I read an article about this too. I mean, Friday night when I got home from the movie, I read a lot of articles that I had bookmarked, because there's just so much content I had to like just skip over.
What's Getty Prime? Why am I
missing?
Sorry,
Getty Prime is the Harkonnen home planet.
Oh, yes. Okay,
and
gotcha.
So what Villanueva was saying was they wanted to, because the question was asked him was like, why, what's going on with the colors the color scheme there and stuff, and he's like, we toyed with the idea of what would it look like if a sun, instead of bringing color out, killed color. And so we did this thing. And so then you get to the whole thing when they shoot the fireworks off and it looks like basically ink blots going off, which was really, I mean, I thought it was such a great way to flip the script on, things that you're used to, but
it made everything to do with the Harkonnens like that much more unsettling.
Yes.
As if like a big, chunky dude just floating through the air and taking a motor oil bath isn't unsettling enough.
Yep.
Let's do these other things and really mess with you.
Well, and it was interesting because I had thought when he had that whole bath, that bath he was going through after the attack from Leto in part 1, I thought once he went through that, he was healed. You could see that he was connected up to stuff, and so he's still suffering from the after effects of what what Leto Atreides did.
Mm.
And I thought that was a great detail to keep that in there, and it actually ends up playing out at the end too, when it gets he gets disconnected completely, and then Paul kills him.
Mm.
Again, poetic. When you think about part one, my Arrakis, my Dune, and there he is laying there being eaten by the bugs. That's right, it's your Dune, and it's consuming you. So
give his body back to the desert. Oh my gosh, and just the way that worked, like an LA Knight-esque walk right past the Emperor and everyone else, like they're not even there. Like, I'll deal with you later.
Yeah.
I got to go talk to the big guy over there.
Yeah.
The one who's weaseling around on the floor.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Let me talk to you.
Stabby, stab, stab. All right. As for you,
jabronis.
Yeah.
You're in the pokey for one night. We're bringing you back tomorrow.
And I love how he just did that. Like, kill the Sardaukar, take the prisoners to the residency, as it's like a done thing.
Yeah.
And these are supposed to be like the baddest of the bad.
Yeah.
And the guys who took out his entire family. And it's just like, oh yeah, and kill them.
Yeah. I did like how they did that they broke it up. They didn't try to do everything in that one moment of, the one-on-one with Fade and him, that they broke it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that made a lot of sense to.
Well, it speaks to like the savvy that Paul is gaining as a leader.
Right.
Like, you don't do things until you absolutely have to.
Yep.
And why at that point are you going to do anything? Like, you just did this whole battle. You're tired.
Like in the 1980s version, they did, I think, all of that in one shot.
Well, yeah, because they only had the one flick. Yeah.
Well, right. But I'm saying that's the difference between, breaking it into two parts and not, is you let it breathe a bit and
oh, certainly
it makes sense. Yeah. Take him to the residency and then deal with him the next day.
Mm.
But this whole thing with him, when he drinks the water of life and discovers that he is a Harkonnen.
Mm.
At first, when I was thinking about it, just my own thoughts on this, I was thinking, I wonder, because there is a very distinct turn in his personality at that point. He goes from caring about, all the suffering that he's going to cause to now I understand what my mission needs to be and what I need to do.
Yeah.
And part of me wondered if that was rooted in the idea that he now doesn't care because there's a part of himself that he now hates because he hates the Harkonnens. You know what I mean?
Not a bad theory.
Now, I read an article today that took it a step further that I thought made a lot of sense, which is that it was less about that and more about, at this stage, when he realizes that they're all Harkonnens, that he's just at a point of, we're all being played by the Bene Gesserit. We're all like, I have no control over the situation. All of this that I'm trying to protect and do, I have no control over. Like, it's this realization he has, and I'll send you the article because I'd like you to include it in the show notes. It's a really well thought out article, talking about how, because it's relating it to some, in some ways to our times today, where it's just like there is just so much evil that is just kind of manipulating things that you just feel kind of powerless in that state. And so you do the only thing you know how to do, which is, look, if they're going to play the game this way, then I'm going to win it on my own terms. Win, lose, or blood, sweat, and tears, the whole 9 yards. Like, if I got to go lose about 1 billion Freemen, I'm going to go sacrifice 1 billion Freemen because I am, come hell or high water, I'm going to take them down.
Well, I don't even think it was necessarily the Fremen that were going to be the ones who were starving. It was like across the galaxy.
Yes.
Like all the other homeworlds. And to me, I think those are very interesting theories and could certainly be right. The way I looked at it is almost like once he crossed into the south, the place that he knew that if I go there, then X, Y, and Z is going to happen. Then at that point, it's like a fait accompli. Like, well, now there's no turning back. Like, that is going to happen now. There's nothing I can do about it. I have seen it. By doing this, I have now put this into motion. So that's it. Like to me, that's how I read it. Like now that I've set this in motion, there's nothing I can do about it. So,
but there's an attitude change that happens too, because like I find it interesting at the very end when he looks at Chani and he says, I'll always, basically telling her like he will always love her, and then literally 30 seconds later is telling the Emperor, look, I'm going to spare you. I'm going to take over as Emperor. I'm going to marry your daughter. Like, and he says that and he looks at her, like there's just this like lack of, I feel like the Paul at the beginning of the movie would not have done that. Whereas this Paul seemingly is now, maybe he's seduced by power. Maybe he's seduced by revenge, but he is not operating from the same playbook that he was operating from at the beginning of the movie. And certainly is different, but I think it's interesting that Chani, and I read, again, another article I read was talking about how it's interesting how at the end of the movie, Chani's really the protagonist at this point. It's not Paul. Paul's no longer the protagonist because he is on some sort of path that is not, holy, that is not right, that is not good. It is solely self-serving. And when the other houses don't accept his ascendancy to the throne, and he makes that statement to the rest of the group, to his men, he's like, all right, let's take him to paradise. Like, that's kind of crazy. It's like, he's like, all right, let's put the word to the street. Ass whoopings for all.
Pretty much. No. And I think that you're right. And I think in the book, I believe there is a bit more explanation to Chani as far as like, this is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it works better in the way that they're telling this story, to create a little bit of that friction. But it was a fantastic flick. Fantastic. Well worth the journey to the theaters.
Better than you expected or met expectations?
I mean, certainly met expectations, probably better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I already, I wouldn't say I had like sky high expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But my expectations were fairly lofty, and it managed to outshoot those. So it was excellent flick.
Yeah, no, I absolutely enjoyed it. I can't say for certain that I would say it's better than the first one. I just think both of them were just really well done movies. You know what I mean? Like,
it's really one flick.
It is. Yeah.
I don't know that you can. I mean, Godfather 1, Godfather 2. You can make an argument. It is really two movies. This isn't. It kind of is just one flick.
Yeah.
It is one story. Really.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but just so well done, and it gives me hope that someone will at some point land the Fantastic Four. Like if someone can land Dune and do such a great job, we can get a quality Fantastic Four flick here at some point.
Wow, I did not expect you to manage to link Dune to Fantastic Four.
I found a way.
I didn't see that happening. But good on you.
On that note, that, my friends, is your Dune-centric Week in Geek.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't happen.
It didn't. Oh well. Well, now we need to get into our the meat of the matter. There we go. He finally got his stupid hand gesture to work. There we go.
I got to go high. That's what I got to do. I got to go high. There it is.
That is a grown-ass man with a mortgage and a real job, ladies and gentlemen, who is trying to make the silly hand gestures
He's
to make
wearing
the fireworks
a hat.
go boom.
He has a "You're Killing Me" small shirt. He's wearing
all of that's
a
forgivable.
Hat.
All of that is forgivable. It's the hand gestures.
He's got some Driftless Glen Rye whiskey going.
Anyways, so we are going to get into.
Are we doing a job here? What's going on?
We're doing the third region of our Star Wars brackets, and this one we tried to. This is a real puzzle for me, trying to figure out a way to get these four regions to work out so that we wouldn't have like 1,000 characters in one and like 10 in another.
Oh my God.
And it just sort of sorted into this way. So we have basically, well, not basically, it's all animated streaming shows and characters from them. So we have 3 play-ins this time. The third play-in bracket being the most interesting, I think. However, let's get going on this. Let's get the play-ins out of the way, shall we?
And just to further provide context, play-in 1 is Bad Batch oriented.
Yes. Yep.
Play-in 2 is Rebels oriented. and Play-In 3 is Clone Wars oriented.
And that explains why I didn't know anything out of Play-In 3.
All right.
So I'll handle the play-ins, and then you get to the full bracket. All right.
Sounds like a plan, my friend.
So Play-In 1, we've got Echo versus Wrecker, Crosshair versus Tech. So in the first, jeez, in the first matchup here, sorry Echo, Wrecker wins for me. What do you got in that one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Wrecker. He was pretty funny.
Yeah. As far as Crosshair versus Tech, I got Crosshair because kind of a good villain, kind of conflicted, and one of those villains where you're like, I can kind of see the point, and those are usually the best villains where it gives you a moment of pause because you're like, well, he's approaching it logically.
Yeah.
Who do you got for that one?
By the way, I just want to say real quick, this is probably going to move a little bit faster than most brackets because I think Uncle Todd and I are kind of playing from behind a little bit. so
I've seen 2 out of 3 of them.
If we're not expositorying quite a bit on this one,
there's links in the show note. There'll be links here so you can do your own research at your own pace.
I'm going to go with Crosshair. So truth be told, I have only seen a couple episodes of Bad Batch season 1. I was asked by my sister-in-law to first watch Clone Wars before I watch Bad Batch, which makes sense because I have not seen all of Clone Wars. So I still need to accomplish that. I got about 7 episodes into season 1, and it's just, there's like 25 episodes in season 1. It's just like, sweet, merciful Moses. I'm going to finish Rebels before I get to Clone Wars. But nonetheless, Crosshair was an interesting character to me, being that kind of quasi-aligned with the Empire, what's wrong with you guys sort of thing. So I'm going to go with Crosshair on this one.
All right, so I believe that gives us both Wrecker and Crosshair. So I'm going to go with Crosshair.
You know what? I am going to go with Crosshair as well.
All right, so Crosshair goes into the first play-in slot, which is not an easy one if I remember correctly.
No.
Well, actually, no. That one's the easiest of the 3. Actually, that's going up against Agent Callus in our main bracket. So at least it's not a fair matchup, but it's fairer.
Indeed.
Second, the Rebels play-in is Hondo Anaka, who plays a great part in Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run ride. Then we have Zeb. We also have Chopper versus Darth Maul.
Yes. Darth Maul makes a return in round 3, sir.
I know. And let's get to that. Hondo versus Zeb. I've got Hondo. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with Zeb. I just want to say about Hondo, though, not that he's better than Lando, but there's an element to him, like the smooth talking part of him, that is so much better than Lando. Like Lando's a smooth talker, like, hello, ladies. Hondo is like, he could sell you like a broken wrench, No.
You know who Hondo is? Hondo is Lando crossed with Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yes.
Because it's somehow like even the most cockamamie schemes somehow seem to work out for him.
Yes. And he's like the happiest dude, no matter the situation.
Yes.
But I got to go with Zeb. I've really enjoyed Zeb in Rebels, and just being the cantankerous sort of what are we doing?
What is a Carabast?
Carabast. That's
right. Curse word.
That's right.
All right, who you got in Chopper versus Darth Maul?
The droid versus Darth Maul. I know what ends up happening to Darth Maul in Rebels. But I got to say,
I love how you go. You're ready to go deep on this. This is a play-in. Come on.
No. I'm not trying to extend it out. I'm just saying, Chopper is a beloved droid, but I'm going to go with Darth Maul because from what I've seen in Rebels so far, I like how they've given him, some more story and some more depth. I talked about in our round
more than
1
2 minutes of screen time.
Yes, like in the first bracket, how he was misused in the movies and not used enough. And I like how they gave, they breathed life back into him and gave him some purpose. And so I'm going to go with Darth Maul on this one.
I'm going with Chopper. The highest kill count of any Star Wars character.
This is not the first time you brought that stat up.
Has killed thousands of Imperials.
Does he do it in season 3 and 4? Because I really haven't seen a point where he's like massacred a bunch of.
Oh no, yeah, like season 3 of when things like Ezra grows up a little bit, like he's the kills start piling up incredibly quickly. Like he's just left, right, like intentionally, unintentionally, by accident, the whole thing.
Yep.
It's a tour de force. So for my play-in, I've got Hondo versus Chopper. You've got the opposite. You've got Zeb versus Darth Maul. Who do you got coming out of that one?
Let me see. You know what? I think I'm going to go with Darth Maul.
All right. Not like it matters, because the winner of this play-in goes up against Grand Admiral Thrawn in round 1 of the actual bracket.
Maul could upend Thrawn. Who knows?
Oh, okay. I'm going with Chopper.
You going with Chopper? All
yeah.
Right. All right.
All right. And play-in 3.
Oh, my goodness. This is like heel central for Clone Wars.
Yeah. We've got Asajj Ventress.
Yes.
Did I have that right?
Asajj Ventress.
Versus Mother Talzin.
Yes.
Then we have, is it Savage or Savage Opress?
So I thought it was Savage, but it's Savage Opress.
Okay. Up against Count Dooku. And I'm going to go tell you right now, I only know who Count Dooku is. So I've got Ventress coming out of that matchup. And then I've got Dooku, and then I've got Dooku winning this one. I'll run the whole thing for you because I have no reason other than the fact that, hey, I know that guy. And that's it. So go ahead and tell us what your play-in 3 looks like.
All right. So between Asajj Ventress and Mother Talzin, I'm going to go with Asajj, just a cool kind of bounty hunteress sort of character. And then with Savage Opress and Count Dooku, I'm going to go with Savage. I thought it was interesting to introduce a familial element to the Darth Maul story, and he was an interesting character.
All right.
Between Asajj and Savage, I'm actually going to go with Asajj. So I'm going to advance her into the play-in 3 against Anakin Skywalker, where she will be jobbed out in. I
was going to say it's going to be like an Iron Mike Sharp versus Hulk Hogan-esque matchup.
You know, I think it would be great with this whole like Sonoma
poor guy,
thing.
that forearm just never healed right.
If you could hold up a forearm like this, and they could go do an animation of like Iron Mike Sharp going, like that or something like that. You know what I mean?
You know. Now I think about it, Iron Mike Sharp and Cowboy Bob Orton.
Yes.
Poor guys, they had forearms like the McMahons have quads.
Yep.
Like that was their Achilles heel. Just could never heal those forearms.
Yep. Although bad. I love with Cowboy Bob Orton, he already has a nickname, Cowboy Bob Orton. But Roddy Piper had to take it a step further and call him Ace.
So you know what? There was a great story, I'll try to find this again and link this in the show notes. There was a YouTube short of Undertaker talking about how Roddy Piper, apparently he was wrestling Roddy Piper for something. He's like, Roddy was supposed to go over. Mm-hmm. He's like nobody beats Roddy Piper. But he came to him that day and he says, listen, I got this lawsuit that I'm supposed to testify in. I don't want to testify. I just want to go home. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go outside. You're going to knock me outside the ring. You're going to roll back the mats and you're going to tombstone me on the concrete. And I'm going to sell my neck, but I'm fine. And Taker's like, you got it. Whatever you say, sir. So he goes out, does the tombstone, and he says, and Roddy crimps right up. He's like, EMTs come in, haul him off, all this stuff. And he doesn't end up going and testifying. Okay. And the other guy who's interviewing him he's like, well, I don't know what the statutes of limitations is. And Taker's like, the only reason I'm telling that story now is Roddy has passed. I was like, that is so great, and yet is one of like, it's like, yes, that is totally something that Roddy Piper would have done.
So here's what I'm wondering:
like, always smarter than everyone else. You know
you're going to do the tombstone on the concrete. Do you put on extra padding on the knee pads? Because I got to imagine, like, that's not going to do good things to your knees. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, think about how much the average wear and tear is on a wrestler anyways. At that point, like, do you even have nerve endings in your knees anymore?
I mean,
I don't think so.
Solid concrete, though.
Still, it's
Similar
like
to Jake the Snake DDTing Ricky Steamboat. Like
you
Ricky's
ever
like,
work in a restaurant?
I'll protect myself, and he does
Yeah.
it, and it's like, good God Almighty.
Well, yeah, then that was a dumb move. But I mean, you ever work in a restaurant? You ever see the cooks who just like grab like a pan out of the oven or something with their bare hand, and you realize like their nerve endings are just gone.
No.
Like there's nothing left. You know, they could bang them with a hammer and be like,
I have not seen such things, but I take your word for it.
All right, let's get into the
Field of 16, sir. Field of 16.
Yes. Do you want to take over now, sir?
Sure.
All right, take us in.
All right, first bracket in the round one.
Target.
Sabine
Stay on target.
Wren versus Hunter. What do you go with?
Hurst Helmsley?
No.
I'm going with
This is
Sabine.
single H, not triple H.
Oh, good. Okay. I mean, as cool as a character as Hunter is, Sabine Wren is just a cooler character, more iconic. The idea of the Mandalorian who loves spray painting, who was also a Force user. Yes, sign me up for that. That's an interesting character. Who do you got?
Unfortunately for Hunter, I am more familiar with Sabine, so I'm going with Sabine.
Right on. Good man. Good man.
Next bracket. Man, we're flying through this, dude. This is going to be the shortest episode ever.
Hello there.
Hello there. Obi-Wan Kenobi of both. Well, actually, I got to ask, is this Clone Wars Obi-Wan or is this Rebels Obi-Wan?
I'm struggling to remember. He wasn't.
You put the list together, sir. So
I know, but I'm sure I know he's in Clone Wars. I can't remember if he's in Rebels.
He is in Rebels.
Sure.
So
Okay.
that's why I picked Darth Maul, because Darth Maul ends up with his kind of honorable death in a way.
Yeah.
At the hands of Obi-Wan.
So yes, it's yes and yes.
Okay.
Because quite honestly, you can just combine them.
So we have Obi-Wan Kenobi of both Clone Wars and Rebels fame against Kanan Jarrus of Rebels fame.
Yes.
Who are you going with?
I'm going with Kanan Jarrus. As much as I love me some Obi-Wan, I really enjoy the character of Kanan and just the many different shades of Jedi that we kind of come across, or Force users in a way. Because I don't know that Kanan necessarily he really doesn't identify as a Jedi at first, and kind of embraces that side of him. Obi-Wan is Obi-Wan. He's fantastic, dude. But if I'm picking, I really like me some Kanan Jarrus. What about you?
I'm going with Kanan Jarrus as well.
Wow.
I think
you would be totally in the bag for Obi-Wan.
Well, here's the thing. I think for me, I would have advanced Obi-Wan further, I think, in our first round brackets if the matchups were different. But because I think if I'm remembering right, he was up against like Princess Leia, which is like kind of the kiss of death, because you got to advance Leia on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I've enjoyed the Kanan character. I'm about halfway through Rebels as a whole, but I like how they defined him as kind of like a hidden Jedi, and then the way he embraces kind of that father figure for Ezra, sorry. And just their relationship, and of course what he goes through from season 2 into season 3, where he loses a very key function of sight, but the way he uses that to teach Ezra and that sort of thing. I think he's just a very interesting character, and is at least in the animated world seems to be a more fulfilled character than Obi-Wan. So
yes,
I'm going to go with Kanan on this one.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I think the reason for that is you're kind of leaning on the live action Obi-Wan to inform the animated one.
Indeed.
Yeah, no, I agree. Indeed. Next.
Do we even need to talk about this one?
I mean, I got Thrawn versus Chopper, and I love me some Chopper, but yeah, Thrawn.
Freaking Thrawn.
Sorry, Chopper.
Actually, I'm sorry, Tony Schiavone. Congratulations on your entrance, Chopper. How do you feel after that ass kicking?
Go grumble and kill some of his stormtroopers.
Holy moly! No, I'm going to go with mine. So this is, for me, it's Thrawn versus Darth Maul. As much as I love how Darth Maul got kind of a second life in, Rebels, and really they gave him some depth and a good backstory. It's Thrawn. Thrawn is just that much more, and
Mm-hmm.
he does an amazing. I think the way they frame him in the animated series, does justice to the character, and then of course brings him into the live action world. When we get into that in our next bracket. So I'm going to go with Thrawn. I think he was well done in the animated series.
Next.
So this is a rough one. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
Ahsoka Tano versus Hera Syndulla. Holy moly, ding, ding.
All right. Thank you, Howard Cosell. With a little Apollo cream mixed in there, which is very odd.
The ding ding is all Apollo. So
that was a very odd choice you made there, but it was a choice. Who do you got in this one?
Oh my gosh. This is rough because when I started watching Rebels, I didn't attach to the Hera character a whole lot in season 1, but over the course of 1 and then 2 and then 3, she grows on you, and is such a great heroine, character, strong female character. But I gotta go with Ahsoka. She's just, she's iconic. Ahsoka is Ahsoka, and in the Clone Wars, that's where, to steal from the Godfather, that's where Ahsoka made her bones. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I got to go with Ahsoka on this one.
I usually go through these and I'm just like boom, 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 boom. This one I kind of thought about for a moment or two, and I actually took into account where this lies in the bracket, and I decided I think Ahsoka's going to get her roses in my live action bracket, because if there's another actress that I'm in the bag for besides Katie Sackhoff, it's Rosario Dawson. So I think Ahsoka's going to get her roses in the live action bracket. And I kind of wanted to, it's sort of like, James Brown, give the drummer some. Like, I wanted to give Hera Syndulla a little something here, because she's not going to get her flowers in the live action bracket.
Yeah.
As much as I like, oh my gosh, what is it, Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
Yeah. Yep.
Who I think she's great too. I like, oh my gosh, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Like, that was the first time I ever saw her or anything, and I'm like, I want her to be in every movie now. I don't care what. Can she just be a waiter or something, like a pilot? Just a background character. I don't care. She should be in everything. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Hera in this one. Give her the nod over Ahsoka, because quite honestly, whoever got out of this one's heading into a wood chipper. So at least a little kind of pat in the back, and then okay, and thank you for coming.
A little attaboy.
Yes, yeah,
or
yes,
if you will.
Well, true.
All right, next bracket is for me is Crosshair versus Agent Callus. Is that the same for you?
Yep.
Okay. So Crosshair versus Agent Callus. Who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Callus, if only because of the larger breadth of work.
The face turn.
Well, yeah, and also because he is like one next to Thrawn. He's probably one of the only handful of semi-competent Imperial officers. He actually is fairly effective most of the time.
I think I know what it's really all about with you.
What is it? Is it about the mutton chops?
The mutton chops. You gotta get a character with the mutton chops in there. And by God, Callus represented.
Could we have gotten him singing Viva Las Vegas once? Would that have killed him?
Come on, Priscilla. Thank you, Agent Callus.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great.
Viva.
Do some kung fu. Yeah, no, Callus. Who do you got?
For me, as much as I like, the Crosshair character, 3.5 seasons in, I got to go with Agent Callus. Very, just from an Imperial stooge to something more than that. You know what I mean? Like in season 2, there's a great, I don't remember what episode number it is, but there's a great episode with him and Zeb.
Yes. It was very much like their, what is it? Enemy Mine or something like that. Yes.
Yes. That is exactly it. And I thought that was such a great story. And I thought of the same thing. I thought of that movie, and I'm like, this is such a great application of that same story to these characters. And so
Enemy Mine, wasn't it Louis Gossett Jr.?
Shoot, who was it? Yeah, Louis Gossett Jr. Louis Gossett Jr. was the
Dennis
alien.
Quaid.
Yes.
Right on.
Very good. So I'm going to go with Agent Callus as well.
All right. Cool.
Next bracket is Ezra Bridger. Oh, this is tough. Face versus face. Ezra Bridger versus Bo-Katan.
And this is another one where I was like,
I'm sorry. Hold on. The non-Katie Sackhoff Bo-Katan.
No, this is the Katie Sackhoff Bo-Katan
Is it?
because Katie Sackhoff voiced Bo-Katan right from the start.
Oh,
She's
I didn't
always.
I thought it was someone else. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, she has always been the voice of Bo-Katan.
I am not very well versed in the Clone Wars thing.
I'm pretty sure she did. I'm pretty sure she's always voiced Bo-Katan.
I'm
pretty sure
gonna
even
check-
in the Clone Wars.
I'm
You go
gonna
ahead.
check that.
This is another, like, I got to admit, the previous matchup was another one of those ones where I'm like, whoever this is walking into a shredder. Like, it doesn't matter. They're not making it out of the next round. Easily for me, Bo-Katan.
You are correct. It is Katie Sackhoff.
The much more complex character, Ezra Bridgers is an interesting character. Don't get me wrong, and more so once he kind of grew up a little bit, and really kind of serves the purpose of telling this interesting story of the kind of the birth of the rebellion. However, come on, a really cool Mandalorian who is struggling to regain the throne. I mean, come on, seriously, you had me at Mandalorian. So Bo-Katan.
I'm actually going to go with Ezra Bridger.
You go right ahead, and you're wrong. But
I like his. I know how his hero's journey ends, so to speak, or at least within the Rebels, series. Know how that kind of comes to a conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I haven't seen enough of Clone Wars to know Bo-Katan one way or the other, so I'm just going to go with Ezra Bridger. More familiar. All right.
You're wrong.
What?
You're wrong, but that's fine.
Where's the soundboard on that one, man?
Oh, I'm lazy. Hang on a second here.
Come on.
Wrong.
There it is. There. Can I get a little LA Knight? Little. Let me talk to you.
You are worse than Hulk Hogan.
No, you're not talking to anybody. Next.
Come on now.
No.
Well, we have in the next bracket Omega versus the associate of Borgullet.
Save the dream.
Borgullet knows.
Borgullet will know. If only it had been Saw and Borgullet, then this would be he'd
a shoe-in.
The whole thing. The whole thing.
Saw Gerrera versus Omega. Who are you going with?
A slightly less delusional Saw Gerrera, but still voiced by Forrest Whitaker.
A non-PSD Saw Gerrera.
Well, let's
PTSD,
not.
Sorry.
Let's not go there. It's a slightly toned down PTSD. It's a little bit earlier in the story. Saw. And that's just because, quite honestly, Omega gets on my nerves. I hate to say it, but oh my gosh.
Nice.
There's times when I'm like, can we just whack this character and just carry on? I can't take it anymore.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah. No.
I'm going to go with Saw Gerrera as well.
All right.
Last bracket of the first round is, for me, is Anakin Skywalker versus Asajj Ventress. For you, it is Anakin versus who?
Dooku.
Okay. Who are you going with?
Anakin. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
As cool as Count Dooku is, like, no, it's not happening.
Yep. Anakin, for me as well, as much as I like Asajj Ventress as the bounty hunter, I like Anakin that much more.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now getting into the quarterfinals. For me, first bracket in the quarterfinals is Sabine Wren versus Kanan Jarrus. Is that the same for you?
Same here.
All right. Who are you going with?
Kanan Jarrus wins the day.
Oh,
you're going with Sabine?
No, I'm going with Kanan.
Oh, okay.
I just
what
figured.
are you booing me for?
I'm not booing. I said ooh.
Oh. Okay.
I said ooh, not boo.
I thought I heard a in there.
Are they saying boo earns? Are they saying burns? No, sir. Are they saying boo? No, they're saying boo earns, sir. Boo earns. All right. I'm going to go with Kanan Jarrus as well. I think out of the two, I like Sabine's character. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great character, and I love in the live action how she is manifested in the actress that plays her. But in the animated series, I got to say Kanan's the more fully fleshed out and more impactful out of the two of them. So
yeah, yep. And let's face it, I think Kanan's heading towards a brick wall here in a minute.
He is. Next one is Thrawn versus Ahsoka Tano. I think it's the same for the two of us.
No, I've got Thrawn versus Hera.
Oh, so who are you going with? Agent of Chaos.
No, I'm going with Thrawn on this one. Sorry, Era. It was a good ride. It was a good ride.
As much as I enjoy Ahsoka Tano, and I know that character was made in the animated world, I got to go with Thrawn on this one. I think his characterization in Rebels and is so true to the books, and so I very much enjoy seeing that manifestation of him as well as the live version without the pot belly.
Well, I mean, been around that. It happens to all of us, sir.
Well,
I'm not gonna. That was my first thought too. Is like, oh, throw a little shade, and I'm like, and then I look down. I'm like, okay.
Apparently, some of us get the bigger rations than others when they're in a different galaxy.
It's good to be king.
It is good to be the king. All right, next bracket for me is Agent Kallus versus Ezra Bridger. I think for you, it's Kallus versus Bo-Katan.
Yes, it is.
And I'm guessing you're going to go with Bo.
Gee, where did you get that idea?
I have no idea.
Yeah, no, it's Bo-Katan. Yes.
For me, as much as I like Agent Kallus, Ezra Bridger is above and beyond.
Mutton Chop Cinderella has left the dance.
The mutton chops have to be retired. We got to go with the bright blue eyes and the
ladies
plucky
and gentlemen.
spirit.
Agent Kallus has left the building.
Viva Las Vegas. All right. Last bracket of the quarterfinals. Saw Gerrera. Bo-Katan knows.
Bo-Katan knows he's in trouble.
Versus Anakin Skywalker. Who you go? That's who I have. Is that the same for you?
That's what I got.
All right.
And,
who you
and
going
Anakin is going to win this one.
Anakin
Sorry, Forrest.
Skywalker it is.
As much as I love your performance in damn near everything you've ever been in.
Yep. I'm going to advance Anakin as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in the semifinals, first bracket I have is Kanan Jarrus versus Thrawn. I believe they're the same. Who are you going with? Or do you want me to pick first?
Kanan,
Really?
We'd like to wish you the best of luck in all of your future endeavors. Oh, wait, there is no future endeavors for you. So therefore, Grand Admiral Thrawn is going to proceed.
Oh, impressive. Most impressive.
Most impressive.
I am going to do the same. I'm going to advance the Grand Admiral into the finals. As much as I like Kanan Jarrus, I think, got to go with Grand Admiral Thrawn on this one.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. My second bracket in the semifinals is Ezra Bridger versus Anakin Skywalker. Who are you going with? Or who do you have for yours? Sorry.
I have Bo-Katan up against Anakin Skywalker.
And who are you going with?
No, you go first on this
one.
Okay.
I'm actually going to go with Anakin on this one. I think in the animated world, I think Anakin becomes much more, fully fleshed out as a character.
Yes.
And I think, that the time spent in developing him and his relationship with Ahsoka and, his journey it just builds, more of not the mystique of the character, but just more of the fullness of the character. And Ezra, as good as a character as he is in Rebels, I think he's just dwarfed this time by the Anakin, Skywalker character. So I'm going to go with Anakin on this one.
Right on.
What about you? Bo-Katan versus Anakin.
Do you even need to ask this? Really?
I mean, should we just book her into the finals for crying out loud? I mean, what the heck?
You know what? I didn't find a way to work her into the
first name Katie, last name Sackhoff. It's all the way to the finals, baby.
No, Bo-Katan's gonna win this one.
All right, Bo-Katan. Oh my goodness! Wow.
Because again, Anakin, again, as you said, much more fleshed out.
Yep.
But this really is where the character of Bo-Katan comes from. The Anakin character, much like the Obi-Wan character, leans a little bit in the live action.
Okay.
And that's just enough for me to go, all right, no, Bo-Katan gets the nod.
All right. Gotcha. All right. So my finals bracket is Thrawn versus Anakin Skywalker.
Ooh, good one.
Much like book 2 of the trilogy we read.
Look at you.
You
Look at you.
are Thrawn versus Bo-Katan. You want me to go first? You want to go first?
You go first. You go first, sir. I'm interested to hear what the rationale is here.
I'm actually going to go with Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Really?
Over Anakin Skywalker.
Wow. Okay.
I'm enjoying, and I say it that way because I'm about halfway through season 3, but I am enjoying the portrayal of Grand Admiral Thrawn. I feel it is true to the book and true to the character. No pot belly. And
I love how you're saying that, and both of the people hosting this show have pot bellies.
Hey, I'm not casting dispersions here, but I'm just saying.
You were showing yours off when you're trying to show your shirt off earlier. And I know you were doing a suck in because I do the same thing.
Well,
and it's still
amazing.
there.
Hey,
we like to pretend that it's not, but it is.
It's not a 6-pack, it's a 1-pack. So,
a keg in my case.
A barrel.
Roll out the barrel.
Rolling.
Yeah.
As much as Anakin, I admit Anakin Skywalker, probably from a airtime and number of seasons perspective, has it over Thrawn. I just feel like the Thrawn character is, it's just exciting to have him in the lore and have him in a series of some kind. And so I got to advance him into the finals here for our third bracket, Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Indeed. Well,
How about you,
well
sir?
played.
How about you?
All right. This is a tough one for me. Because as is well documented, I am fully the El Presidente for life of the Katie Sackhoff fan club, apparently.
Yes.
And I'm going to say the same thing to Katie here as I said to Ahsoka earlier. You're going to get your roses in the live action.
Oh.
Because Thrawn ain't.
Oh.
Thrawn, limited exposure in the live action series. Well done. However, I think that Thrawn really shines in the animated. Oh my gosh, again with the fracking. You're messing up my moment here with your foolhardiness.
I'm celebrating.
Your ballyhoo. No more tomfoolery. No more ballyhoo.
Thank you. Thank you, Chip.
But I'm gonna have to go with Thrawn in this one. I feel this is his best portrayal.
Nice.
And that's saying something because I think even in the books were good.
Yeah.
But as I've said about the books, there's just times when you're like, okay, too damn much. And I felt like they managed to balance that out better in the animated series.
Yep.
And it really, to me, this is the Thrawn that I think about. Even though I saw this after I read the original, Heir to the Empire books, like this is the Thrawn that is kind of home base for me for that character.
Yep.
So I'm picking Thrawn in my to win this region.
Amen and amen. When we go into next week into the more of the live action TV kind of characters, he's going to get docked a few because we only really have a couple episodes with him. You know what I mean? And it's and even though it is a great portrayal,
I don't know so much getting docked. It's just like there's not that much to work with.
Well,
because the character's
that's what I'm
new.
saying. Like from an airtime perspective, when you compare it with other characters, it's hard to justify advancing him very far because we have so little to really compare it to. When you look at other characters. So next week will be interesting. But yes, for now, Thrawn, as we'd like to say, rules the day.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That was a tougher bracket than what I thought it was going to be.
Tougher yet faster.
that too. Speaking of which, what have you got for and another thing this week?
So my and another thing is my wife and I about a month or so ago we wrapped up with for our kind of viewing before we go to bed sort of thing. We were watching Will and Grace for a while, and when we finished that, she'd started watching Abbott Elementary, and I don't know if you've seen this show before. It's on.
No.
I think I listed where it is on ABC. I think it airs live on ABC and then on Max as far as episodes that have aired before. But it is a story of think of it as The Office, but it's now in an elementary school in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And it's a really funny show, a lot of heart to it. what I really like about it is it shines a very bright light on what teachers do for children. And even though it is a sitcom and it is, in a lot of ways, a comedy series, it does bring to bear in its own unique way just how valuable and important teachers are, in terms of what they do. And I like that there's a TV series that kind of shines a light on that. You know what I mean? That's the thing that stood out to me when I first started watching it. And the first couple episodes do that, is that it talks about, what teachers have to do and the struggles they have and what they have to work through. And this is a Philadelphia, elementary school where they're dealing with, struggles of, supplies and things of that nature. And they somehow turn it into, comedy, but it is part of, how teachers have to work with little and do much with what they have. And so, I just really like it. It's a very funny series. And if you haven't seen it before, do check it out. It is, if you're a fan of The Office and you're looking for that sort of like quasi documentary sort of series, I mean, they do a really good job with it. So do check it out. It is on the Max. It is on ABC, and it is funny and worth the time.
Very nice. I'm going back to the well for mine. For whatever reason, I've had the yen to watch Avengers Endgame for the past couple of weeks and just never got around to it because, I mean, hey, it's a fracking 3-hour movie. And I started watching it Saturday and then ended up finishing it up Sunday evening after we got home from Dune. Because, I mean, hey, there's nothing better to finish up. Stop with the hand gestures. I'm telling you right now, I will cut. I'm going to start cutting your video whenever you do that. Until I can do it, and then I'm going to do it all the time.
Of course.
But just such a great flick. And the funny thing is, it's one of those flicks that even if you know it, are you seriously giving it a thumbs in the middle? Really?
No, I'm trying to see what it'll do.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, sorry.
See what I have to deal with
you
folks.
Can keep talking. I'm just doing video. I'm not talking.
Yeah, but I've got you over here in my peripheral vision doing your little aerobics. I swear to you.
Hey, you want to do the Red 5 right now?
Anyways, Avengers Endgame.
Right between the cracky eyes.
One of the things is like my wife was not even watching it as we were kind of, but then she gets sucked in, and of course by the time that we hit the end, and well, I mean, when Black Widow died, she's crying, and then at the very end she's weeping.
Gosh.
And it was like, oh my gosh, this movie just pulls you in. And even still, like as we're getting to that moment, the on your left moment, and all heroes are coming out. And I know what happens. I've seen this movie a half dozen times at least.
Yep.
And as it is, I'm still holding my breath. Like, is he going to say the line? Is he going to say the line? I know he says the line. I know he's going to say Avengers Assemble, but I'm still like somewhere in my like physiology, it's just forcing me to hold my breath.
I love that yell from Thor.
Yes.
When he says that too. He's like, it's like, oh, that's a battle cry, baby.
But it's that thing of like, it still gets me. And that's the thing that I love is like a good story is still a good story, and a good story will still suck you in, even if you know what's coming. The same as like, that's why when wrestling is done really well, I've said in different reviews, like they got me.
Yep.
Like I know this whole genre. I know it's all this and that and the other, and they still got me. And it's the on the left moment, the Avengers Assembled moment, still got me.
You done got.
I did. So highly recommend if you have not watched that lately to definitely check it out on the Disney Plus. And that's all I got to say about that.
Nice.
So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening and or watching. If you're watching, definitely make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would be fantastic. And, anything that makes numbers go up, we just get very excited and tingly. If you'd like to join the free-range idiocy congregation, as we like to call it, the nicer cult, what you can do is you can go to our webpage, which is a webpage. Does anyone even call it a webpage anymore? you can go to freerangeidiocy.com and you can subscribe through Podbean just to the audio-only version of the podcast. That'll have all the episodes. You can subscribe right through the Podbean app. You can also find us on all of your Podbean podcast purveyors, like Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, whatever the hell Amazon calls their podcast thing, terribly branded Podcasts, Inc. or something, Google Podcasts, all of those. Just search for Free Range Idiocy. That is the audio-only version. If you want the video, you got to go to the YouTubes, and you got to subscribe to our channel on the YouTubes. You can find us Free Range Idiocy. It is youtube.com/@freerangeidiocy. If you would like to find us on the social medias, we're also, in addition to the YouTubes, we're also on the Facebook. We're also on the Instagram. You can find both of those at Free Range Idiocy as well. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, ideas for shows, that'd be even better. Just a shout out to say, hey, you two snap-aheads, you're not so bad. You're decent. Or you're suspect. Whatever of those you'd like to say, send all those to tim@freerangeidiocy.com. He'll get back to you forthwith. Retainer. I'm saying that if I had $250 in my pocket.
Heretofore.
And until that day, keep your ears to the grindstone.
Indeed.
I just love the fact that, again, like I hear that we start talking about that scene, and all I can see is Ben Affleck in the suit with the boat shoes and the white athletic socks.
Yes.
And the thing is, I'm like, I know people in high school and college who probably wore that outfit at some point and thought they were fly as hell. Anyways, now I'm going to hand this over to the lesser idiot of the two idiots who run this show, the least idiotic of the two idiots who run this show. I know. It says a lot about my state of mind that the guy who's over there making hand gestures and gleefully giggling is the least idiotic of the two of us. It says a lot about me. But not before I ask the second most important question in all of human history. The first, of course, being, what is hip? The second being, the hell did we learn this episode?
We've learned the following, my friend.
Uh-huh.
I think first and foremost, we have learned that Dune 2, solid thumbs up from both idiots here.
Yeah!
Do check it out. It is a well done movie, and you will not feel a minute of that 2.5 to 3 hours. That is the movie.
Would you almost say that it is
glorious? No, I won't give in till I'm victorious.
Come on, there it is. That's right. The glorious one.
All right, back to your outro.
Indeed. We've also learned that, when Uncle Todd has a deadline in the evening, man, we are motivated to get there. We're barely at a minute, an hour 30. So
we can still get this under if you just stop your flapping and we get to going.
We get to end in this thing.
Thing is, I'm still 19 minutes overdue.
Oh my gosh. We've also learned that, Star Wars, the animated series. The idiots, not as well versed. Therefore, the brackets, they flow quickly.
Have another bourbon there. You'll be able to pronounce that one. No, there we go.
Indeed.
You just ought to put a straw in that from now on. Just save yourself some time. You can wash less dishes.
That's true. And finally, we have learned that the Grand Admiral, as realized in the animated series, is top-notch.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Number one.
Let me talk to you.
Or as Roddy Piper would say, ace in the hole.
Yeah.
With all that being said, thank you again for the listenership. We do appreciate it. And as we like to close things down here at the range, be safe, be healthy, be kind, and be good to one another. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. The range is closed. Until next time, we get into the live-action TV brackets. It'll be Ragnarok, if you will.
Do I have to start playing you off like the Oscars?
No.
We're done.
We are done.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
I think you've had about enough.
Well, I think you're wrong, you increasingly attractive-looking woman. You know, you're really pretty.
Oh, stop.
No, I'm serious. You could be in magazines. You could. And not just like Jugs or Creamsicle. Call me. She won't call.
Oh, here's a pleasant sight. Cirrhosis the Wonder Dog.
I'm not drunk, all right? I just have a speech impediment. And a stomach virus. And an inner ear infection.
Damn!
You're such a disappointing pair. I prayed so hard for you. Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
Well, about our money for tonight.
That's right. $200, and you boys drank $300 worth of beer.
So say we all.
So say we all.
Adios. Farewell.
Oh my gosh, I swear to God.
We want to play the Red 5 right now?
I can't wait until there is like some degree of AI so that I can
We have also
program a
learned
robot to
the
be
man
there
they
and
call
just...
Tim knows how to bring the fireworks, baby. Here it comes. Here it comes. Oh, there it is. Oh, beautiful.
Such a simple creature.
I am.
Now get the hell out of here!